James Holt here for EFD 615, presenting my Harris County High School school improvement plan and process that we have studied about. Background information with our school: 1,700 kids approximately in our building. We're 20-to-1 our teacher to student ratio, almost pretty equal right there, male to female. We are not a Title I school. Our race and ethnicity is a little diverse. We have a military base in Columbus. It's probably 30 minutes from the school. So we do get many different backgrounds, but we are mainly white school population. But you can see we get 2 or more races, 83. That's a pretty high number, I felt like. I don't know if it is or not, but I thought that's very interesting considering our school system. Meeting with the principal about this and assistant principal and going through this whole project. Honestly, I did not know a lot about school improvement. I didn't know about the process. I didn't know pretty much any particulars. I mean, I knew there were certain things that schools looked for, but I had no idea of the general process of what we do or what schools mainly do. Never been involved in that by any matter. So this is a first for me. But looking at establishing the process, our stakeholders, and basically the way they do it here at our school is, it is basically everybody in the school faculty, the principals, they kind of make up that group. There's no outside stakeholders that come in. There's no parents. There's nothing like that is involved in establishing the process or influencing the process. It's basically everybody in the school building that we're relying heavily on. The decision making is, really heavy on the principals and department chairs, and then kind of the educators. So that kind of goes in that process for the way they do things here at Harris. Like I said, it's all inside the building. Nobody outside the building is really involved. Now, they may be told about it through meetings or, board meetings or something like that. They're going to find out. But they're not going to have any influence on the actual decision making or the process of how we do things. They use a SMART goal-based planning is the way we do it here. The training for all that is really all through the department. The way they train the department of what they're looking for, how they're doing it, and there's no professional training outside of that is given through the school system or anything like that. It's all done within the subject area department that you're teaching in. Next is clarifying the school mission, the core beliefs. The mission statement is kind of backed by the vision. The vision is kind of where our school wants to go. The mission statement kind of aligns with that, and then it aligns with the SMART goals and the school improvement. And that's basically what our school system puts out there. So it's a tedious process the way I was described to it. I thought it would have been a little bit simplified, but it's basically a vision of, hey, this is where we want to go. Now let's look at our SMART goals. Let's look at our school improvement plan. Then we kind of develop our mission statement. Go from there. I kind of thought it would have been a little bit backwards the way my principal explained it to me. I thought it would have been a little, different process. But, for us, the publications, there's not many forms of representation that is found in. It's in the school handbook. It's going to be identified at the beginning of the year a lot through the departments mainly. I don't think parents and students are really seeing it enough the way that we do it. I mean, they're going to see it in the handbook, but how many people are going to sit there and read that? How many teachers are going to read that to their kids? Not many. I think it's an area that could improve on our school. we could find a little bit better ways to find some more representation to get it out there to people so they kind of understand what it is. I think when people know your mission statement a little bit more and kind of know where you're trying to go and know your goals, it's a little easier to help everybody get them to accomplish that. The modification over the time and looking at those goals, they're fixed goals, what they are at the beginning of the year and what they kind of develop those goals in SIP, that stays there throughout the year. And I think it's a good way to do it because they're established and they're not changing it or modifying it. They're assessing it through some data. So next is identifying essential to the student. Basically, the alignment of the instruction is all through the state curriculum and the state testing. So we looked, at a certain subject of a history class. They're going to look at the state curriculum, what the state standards are. They're going to look at what the state testing says is on there. And if there's 60% of the test is off of 1, 2, 3, 4, these standards, then that's 60% of what they're going to cover in that classroom. So that's kind of the way that they align the instruction through to kind of keep it tight knit, and that instruction is aligned through all the classes. And I think that's a good process to have. If you want to be successful on a test, you better be studying exactly what's on the test. So they don't really go through. They're going to spend time on all the curriculum, but they might spend a lot more time on these parts of the curriculum because they're more aligned with what the state standardized test is, because they want our students to be proficient in that. As far as innovation and using technology, Chromebooks were issued last year for the first time for all students. So every student has access to the technology for using the Chromebooks. It's a good process. I think it's good to get students involved with that as much as technology at the fingertips. They know how to use it, they know how to deal with it. It's something that needs to be at their fingertips. It's just going to get more and more technology as we go on throughout the years, especially with the way COVID has been. The lesson plan alignment, we use a school-wide template. Everybody's using the same template, so there's no, one teacher's using this template, another teacher's, everybody's using the same template throughout the building. And what's even better, I really like this, is each teacher in the subject is teaching the same exact thing. So, if me and you were both history teachers, we're teaching the same subject of history, we got the same exact lesson plans. Our lesson plans are aligned. I think that makes it good for the kids. I think that makes it just good for the teachers. There's no deviation of that. That is what we do at our school. That's how we align our teaching and make sure that we're giving the best instruction for our kids. And I think that you'll see here in a second, that instruction is tied to our SMART goals, which is tied all back to that state testing like I talked about, which is basically all tied to our school improvement plan. Studying and how they kind of develop a plan, and study is they look at data. Everything's driven by the data. They're identifying the areas that they think that need improvement. Everybody's involved in that process. The leadership team, the educators, principals, board member, people at our central office or our school system. Everybody's looking at that just to see where the improvement needs to go, and assessing that data kind of drives that continuous process of looking where we need to improve as a school system, and then not only as a school system but as a school individually. So that's they're studying all that, and that's kind of the SIP is kind of tying back into SMART goals, but I want to get ahead of myself. Teams work together to target areas to develop that. So those teams are, like I said, going to usually be Probably somebody from our central office, maybe a board member, department head, a principal, and the educator. So that they kind of make up a cluster that they work together. That's kind of your leadership team right there. And then they're looking to study those specific areas within their curriculum, their area that they think that they need to do a better job in, or where we need to improve in school. And then they also review the past years. Like I said, they're looking at the success, the failures, what has worked, what hasn't worked, and they start taking that data and begin to develop a plan. And here it is. This is kind of, talk about a little bit the SMART goals. This is exactly what they do. Every, subject is using this. The teachers, what is this, what's the plan? Most every teacher is going to have 2 SMART goals. And, that SMART goal could be, hey, we want our kids to be, in the 60% reading proficiency for 11th grade, and that's a achievable goal. It's a measurable goal. And this is basically the template we use. They put an assessment on here that they're going to use to measure that halfway through. I think it's pretty, descriptive, easy way to do it right here. And it makes perfect sense. Like I said, everybody in the department knows. I think the kids should know a little bit more. I don't know that the kids know enough. If I'm a kid, I think I should see this on the day one of school, or day one of my class, and I'm being taught that, hey, this is a goal. This is something we're looking to do, so I can help accomplish that goal. But this is the template we use. This kind of right here all drives the SIP within our building. Then they start to reflect. As we start reflecting, that's when they start assessing those, goals that they've made in their classroom. So whatever that assessment is that they've come up with, it's tied to their SIP. They start measuring that through the specific assessment, and they can kind of see where they are. Are they on track? Do we need to go back? Do we need to do remediation? Where are we as a collective? In my department, what do I need to do to reflect on this? Do we need to explore some different evidence-based practices to achieve this goal? Are goals being met? Are we on track? Looking back at the data, maybe the year before. A little bit of a tedious process, but it's I think it's effective, and I think it's what you should be doing. If you're not going to sit there at some point and reflect and look at what you're doing at that point in time, you're not going to know if you're going to make a goal or not. And then, as far as the development, those goals, like I said, they're fixed. Those 2 goals that they made for the year, they're using those all the way through. They're not changing. So we're not going to develop or change the goal or anything midway through the year. We're going to stick to it, and we may need to develop a better way of teaching or implementing the plan for that goal. Then we get to the plan. I've already really talked about it mainly, but like I said, it starts with a SMART goal. It's developed by the department, the subject area, the teachers. They come up with these action plans that are measurable with data. They fill all these out. These are all discussed with that team. That's the intent process, putting it in the SIP, making sure it's clearly tied to each department, making sure the principal's on board, our superintendent's on board, our board is on board, and getting the green light for all that. And then we start meeting, and then we start discussing how we're going to get this, what are we going to do? And communicating it is ongoing through the data, the drives, and the meeting agendas, but it's a continuous process. But I think it's an established process that we have in our school system, and it's been proven to be pretty effective. Then it's just doing it, they just, hey, here's the SIP, here's what we're doing. Here's what, maybe you're just in charge of, school, improvement team, we're going to implement it, and, hopefully we'll celebrate at the end of the year, which we should. We're going to celebrate it and have a little team cookout. But, in the rewind button, it all kind of goes back to the departments, what they're going to do. The principals are going to come up with more other, goals that have to do with attendance or behavior, or maybe something that the board specifically, or our school system specifically, maybe voted on that they want our school to maybe improve on. But as far as when it comes to curriculum and state standardized tests, that's all being developed kind of as a whole school almost. So pretty much everybody's involved, for the most part on these. More so your department chairs, more so your principals, obviously, and your school officials. But at the end of the day, we're all in it together to make sure this thing gets accomplished. We're all here doing it together to implement this. So when he said SIT, I'm a part of the SIT. We're all part of the SIT at the end of the day. So very interested. It was a very interesting, good process. Something I enjoyed learning about. For his comments about this, my summary. This is a long established process they've been doing for a long time here at Harris. It's obviously been proven effective by the data. I believe, and my principal, we talked about a little bit, I think there's some innovation for some change, just because they've been doing it for so long. There's some new methods out there, that could probably be applied for school improvement, or areas of using some new technology to maybe drive this. There's a lot of things you can do. We use Infinite Campus at our school. There's a lot of things you can do in Infinite Campus to kind of, review data and kind of assess you and see where you are in your school improvement. And also COVID, it created a lot of issues. So there's some bad data from, last year, the year before, because last year was, it was different. It was nothing like we've ever dealt with before. And the year before that, school got cut off in March. So that's created a little issues in the process. So you kind of got 2 bad years of data. You've had some attendance problems and all that kind of stuff. So it's almost like you've hit the reset button here. So that's kind of where that innovation for change, and, maybe we got to do something here a little bit different now as we go into these new years, because we're maybe looking at the new normal. So thank you for your time. I appreciate it.